Now let me show you some tools that you'll be using in a bar. Here we have an ice scoop. This is a big size. I like the bigger size because I can fill 2 glasses with ice at the same time. The point with the ice scoop is you just want to make sure you always use it. Never stick a glass directly in the ice because it could chip or crack or break in the ice, and that's a bartender's nightmare. You don't want to have that. Then the jigger, most bars won't require you to use it. You'll do what's called free pouring, which is what I've demonstrated using the tail. But the jigger is how you can measure to make sure your shots are accurate. So we don't always have to use it. Then the muddler, it can be rounded. Sometimes I've seen them rounded on the end or squared off like this. I like the squared off one because it gets the corners. What you do with muddling is you're just basically pressing the juice out of fruit or mint or whatever it is that you're using, an herb. So when you muddle, you want to gently press. You're squeezing the fruit. It's kind of the same idea as if you had it between your fingers, which is not sanitary. So that's why we go ahead and use the muddler. And also the muddler is good when you're using some kind of, like with the mojito mint, you can't really squeeze it with using your fingers. It's not going to have the same effect as if you use the muddler. So that's how we use the muddler. Here we have the glass rimmer, which is how we can put sugar or salt on the rim of our glass. So you simply take the glass, dip it into the black sponge, which would be wet, with preferably Rose's lime juice or sweet and sour because they're sticky. So we get the rim of the glass wet, and then we dip it in the sugar or salt. If we don't want the salt on the inside of the glass, we could just roll it so it doesn't get on the inside of the glass. So there we have a glass rimmed with salt. And then we've got our versions of the shakers. So the new thing is the cocktail shaker that everybody's using, and this is to prepare shots that are chilled or martinis. So what we would do is fill the tin with ice, pour in the liquor, and put the lids on and shake it really hard, about 8 to 10 times, or maybe 10 to 20 times, depending on how cold you want it, how impatient you are. Then you take the lid off and pour it out. So some people are really picky about how many times you shake it, how long you shake it. Some people want it shaken until it's frosty on the outside. I don't do that because then it really dilutes the liquor. So I should give it a really good hard shake, about 8 to 10 times, maybe 15 times. And then the other version is these 2 pieces together. We've got the pint glass and shaker tin. This is called a Boston shaker. So this is the more old-time version. And what you do is, some bartenders build the cocktail in the glass, some build it in the tin. I build it in the tin because the tin gets colder faster. So we fill the tin with ice, pour the liquor over the ice, and then put the glass on top of the tin and shake it, again, 8 to 10 times really hard. And then when we're finished, we remove the glass, and now we take the strainer and put it on top of the tin, holding our finger here to hold it in, and we pour out the whatever it is that we've chilled, the liquor, into the cocktail. So that's the old style version, and you can see it's not so convenient. It's got 3 pieces. And then we have the long-handled bar spoon, which we use to stir if somebody wants their martini stirred instead of shaken. When we talk about martinis, I'll explain why. The reason is, in the old days, they always used to stir them instead of shaking them, because when you shake them, there's a term called it bruises the gin, which is a mythic term. It's a made-up term. You can actually bruise the gin, but you can aerate it. It gets air in it when you shake it really hard. And also the main thing is it dilutes it, because when you shake it really hard, those ice cubes hit against each other and they chip and break off, and they make the drink real nice and frothy, which a lot of people like. In fact, most people like it that way these days, but in the old days they didn't like that. They didn't want it diluted. So that's why they say, they used to say they had to ask for it shaken, but these days most people expect it to be shaken, so I would say go ahead and shake.